Everybody having a good Saturday? College football back in full swing. If you're a Texas fan, you're probably not too happy right now. If you hate Alabama, you're probably not too happy right now. I thought Texas completely blew it. I thought they made a couple egregious mistakes down the stretch of that game. First, they ran out of bounds when I thought they were controlling the clock. They're setting up for at least what would have been the go-ahead field goal right at that point, and they ran a outside run, and for some reason decided to just give up and go out of bounds. In that case, you have to know clock management. You have to know how to get down, because if they did get down in that situation, Alabama would have had to burn an extra timeout or 30 to 35 more seconds. Didn't happen. Alabama had enough time to go down the field. And then, two, they dialed up that blitz, and they had Bryce Young sacked, and inexcusable. He's a quarterback. He's not a really strong quarterback at that either, as far as like physical strength. It's not like he's Ben Roethlisberger. He shouldn't be able to withstand flying blitzers coming at him full momentum. It's just poor tackling technique. And you got to stay low. And, obviously Texas hasn't been Texas for a long time because they don't do things like that correctly. Anyway, it's fun to watch those kind of games to get ready for a 49ers game tomorrow, Sunday, the season opener. Will the 49ers beat the Bears? Well, I have the answer for you right here. It's up on The Athletic. 49ers versus the Bears, 10 observations and our season opener predictions. By our, I mean Matt Barrows and me of The Athletic. So if you want to take a look at the 10 observations and see the predictions, I'll also have my prediction at the end of this video. Go ahead and go into the chat section. Check it out, because the link is there right now. And yes, hit that like button right now as we go through some of our observations and some of the keys to the game for the 49ers to beat the Bears. So first of all, the 49ers have a significant edge along the defensive line. We've talked about the 49ers D-line for years now, but especially this offseason, right? How deep they are. And it's impressive for the 49ers. They've got Nick Bosa, Charles Omenihu, Texas guy, probably not too happy right now. Kyle Shanahan, Texas guy as well. Sansom Ebukam. Eric Armstead. I could go through this list for a long time. That's how many of these guys they have. We've done dedicated videos, dedicated articles on the 49ers D-line. But the truth of the matter is that they have a big-time advantage over what the Chicago Bears have up front. I want to pull up the Bears kind of starting list for you here along the offensive line, because it's not pretty. And they're nervous about it in Chicago, as they should be, because they weren't good last year protecting Justin Fields. And I think that even though there has been some more positive press regarding the Bears defensive line entering this offensive line entering this season, it still is unproven. And the 49ers are proven up front. Nick Bosa, speaking of Charles Omenihu, he predicted that Bosa would have 20 sacks this season. And for the Bears up front, between left tackle, right guard, and right tackle, you have three very inexperienced players. And even if Lucas Patrick starts at center, we're going to see what exactly the Bears do there. He came over from the Packers. Eric Armstead abused Lucas Patrick last year in the divisional playoffs. So, and Armstead's going to get time on the outside. He's going to get time on the inside. When it comes to rushing the passer, the 49ers will have a big advantage against the Bears up front. Braxton Jones is the left tackle for the Bears. He's a 5th-round pick. We'll see if Bosa gets to work against him or works against the right tackle. That's Larry Borum. And neither of those two guys really, I think, are making the 49ers defensive lineman concerned right now. Now, Jones on left tackle is a rookie, so there's a little bit more unknown. But Borum at right tackle and Tevin Jenkins at right guard weren't good last year. Pass protection was really bad for both of these players last season. So you can't sit here and tell me that the Bears are going to turbocharge their way to being an offensive line that can handle the 49ers defensive line that I think has gotten better as far as rushing the passer, especially off the edge. It just doesn't, add up. And I think that's the one big advantage in this game that the 49ers have. Now, there's also an advantage for the Bears on the other side, and they've got good players on defense at all three levels. In fact, Robert Quinn, edge rusher, Roquan Smith, linebacker, and Eddie Jackson, the safety. All three of those guys are all pro players. Eddie Jackson was last All-Pro in 2018, so it's been a few years. But Quinn and Roquan Smith are both coming off of great seasons. 18 and a half sacks last year for Robert Quinn. But the Bears don't have Khalil Mack anymore, and we could talk about the concerns surrounding the 49ers offensive line all that we want. But Trent Williams, handled Robert Quinn last season. Only one pressure for Robert Quinn against the 49ers and a lot of pass rushing snaps. So we'll see if Quinn continues to line up rushing over left tackle or if they try to test Mike McGlinchey. But beyond Robert Quinn, the Bears' defensive line shouldn't really concern the 49ers all too much. Now, the 49ers offensive line should concern the 49ers, right? 49ers offensive line is going to be starting the law firm. I call them the law firm. Banks at left guard, Brendel at center, and Burford at right guard. Banks, Brendel, Burford, the lawyers that you hope that you'll never need, but the 49ers definitely need them in this game because I don't care who's rushing on the other end. They could be, no-namers, but this is the National Football League. And if the 49ers up front don't have their P's and their Q's set, if they don't cross the T's and dot the I's for another two alphabet letter reference there, then the 49ers are going to be giving up pressure because there's stunts in the NFL, there are blitzes in the NFL, there's complexities to the NFL game that don't exist in the college game. And that's why you need good interior NFL offensive linemen. That's why you need Alex Mack. Alex Mack last year was so good for the 49ers in making sure that all the protections were dialed up and that everything was okay in front of Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, this year, Brendel's going to have to show that he can do that. Banks is going to have to show that he can read and react. Burford, a rookie, is going to have to show that he can read and react. I talked to Burford in the locker room yesterday, and he's excited for this game. He said that he actually is happy that his first road game is coming in the opener rather than week 2 or week 3, because he thinks he can get it over with that way. The challenges of being an offensive lineman on the road are, especially in the NFL, when it gets loud in these stadiums, the Bears fans, they're going to be hungry tomorrow because guess what? They have a 500 record right now. They're not a losing team right now. They were 6-11 last year. The Bears should be locked and loaded. Their fans should be locked and loaded, ready for the clean slate. And Spencer Burford, a rookie out of UTSA, he's going to have to handle it. He played at Texas A&M in college now for UTSA, right? They played a road game in front of 100,000+ fans at Kyle Field, Texas A&M. So he's dealt with the noise before, and he knows the kind of challenge that it's going to bring, but he has to settle in. And he's happy that he gets this chance to settle in, but the 49ers are absolutely going to have to settle in so that they can handle guys up front like Robert Quinn or Roquan Smith when he does come on a blitz. So I think both offensive lines, both protection units in front of Trey Lance and Justin Fields are going to be tested in this game. And both have plenty of concerns, right? There are plenty of question marks surrounding both protection units in this game, but both young QBs are going to have to deal with it in this contest. Now, speaking about Trey Lance, I'm going to talk about Steve Young and Trey Lance in a little bit. But first of all, why don't we just sit back and appreciate what we have coming on Sunday? We have Trey Lance against Justin Fields. We have the 2021 draft, the whole debate leading up to the pick. I think it was on March 29th. We have all of that firestorm prepackaged, bundled up, and delivered to us in the form of an NFL game. Trey Lance is the quarterback for the 49ers. Justin Fields, the QB who they didn't pick, is the quarterback for the Bears. If that's not entertainment, I don't know what is. Now, the 49ers already know how athletic Justin Fields is and can be. We saw that last season when the 49ers seemed to do everything right defensively, but Justin Fields got away from many, many players. In fact, we asked D'Amico Ryans about that this week. Is it tough to watch that tape? And he just shrugged his shoulders and said, no, he made a great play. Sometimes you do everything you can, but the guys on the other side are paid too. Justin Fields was a high draft pick too. He ran away from the 49ers defense. 22-yard touchdown. Now, that was Fields' best game of the 2021 season. That was his rookie year. I'm not going to sit here and put up Fields' stats on the screen. Just let's be clear about this. He wasn't very good last year. He wasn't leading an efficient offense last year. The Bears were like number 26 in pass offense efficiency. The run offense wasn't very good either. The offensive line in front of Fields was terrible. The accuracy wasn't exactly where the Bears needed it to be. They're going to need Fields to make a big second-year jump. That is a fact. A lot of people who are big Justin Fields fans try to explain away last season. I mean, if you want to explain away last season, he was a rookie and he wasn't very good. He's going to have to be better here in 2022. The question for me is, where is Trey Lance going to be week 1? And I wrote a lot about Trey Lance, as you know, when I talked to Steve Young, why Steve Young thinks Trey Lance has the ingredients to be a successful 49ers quarterback. And as I talked to Steve Young, we got so many great stories into this piece from Steve. But one of the great ones was about his encounter with Stephen Covey, who's the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the self-help book. And this was in 1991 when Steve was struggling. It turns out that, this was just completely serendipitous. Both the Stephen Covey movie, 49ers roster moves, hold on. The 49ers have activated Tashawn Gibson and Malik Turner from the practice squad for tomorrow's game. So I'm going to tweet this, and we're going to get this up on the screen for you guys. So let's go here. So Malik Turner is a receiver. 49ers practice squad elevations for Bears game. Malik Turner Turner's going to be a special teams addition. Hunter and Upman, and safety Tashawn Gibson Sr. to help fill in for Jimmy Ward. All right, we got him. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. We're going to talk about that really briefly, and then we're going to go back to Steve Young and Trey Lance. So I should have this up on a banner for you guys. 49ers practice squad elevations. Malik Turner and Tashawn Gibson Sr. All right, there we go. Adding the banner, putting it up on the screen. Why don't we take off Trey Lance, and why don't we talk about this? So Malik Turner, he's a hell of a gunner, hell of an up man. And I have to tell you this right here. This is part of the Richard Hightower special teams subplot. Remember Hightower, 49ers special teams coordinator? 49ers were bad on special teams last year, number 26 DVOA in the NFL. Well, they hired Brian Schneider after letting Richard Hightower go to revamp the special teams unit. And the first thing that Schneider did was made sure that the 49ers got some players to help out the special teams cause. And one of those players was Malik Turner, the receiver, who ended up not making the 53-man roster, but signing with the 49ers practice squad. Turner played for Schneider in Seattle when Schneider was the special teams coordinator there. Excellent gunner, excellent up man. We already saw him make plays throughout the preseason. And it was a very good bet that he'd be activated from the practice squad for at least 3 games, right? If he's activated for more, he has to make the 53-man roster. But this year, the rules allow you to flex 2 players up or from the practice squad per week. That was the same as last year, but up to 3 times now while they're still in the practice squad. It was only up to 2 times in previous seasons, in 2020 and 2021. So the 49ers will use that flexibility to their advantage. They're going to definitely flex Malik Turner up multiple times, and he's going to be in there for special teams purposes. And guess who the coordinator of the special teams unit for the Chicago Bears is? It's Richard Hightower, who the 49ers let go after this past season. So special teams, interesting subplot in this game. Now, as far as Tashawn Gibson goes, well, this one's obvious. Jimmy Ward is out for at least the first 4 weeks with a torn hamstring. 49ers need more depth at safety. Gibson is coming up. I still expect the 49ers to start George Odom alongside Talanoa Hufanga, but Gibson is going to be ready to play. We'll see how those rotations work. Maybe we'll get more of a hint during warmups tomorrow. All right, so those are the 2 practice squad activations. We got breaking news right in the middle of the show, so that was good. Maybe I tweet a little bit more about that in a little bit. But Steve Young and Trey Lance. Anyway, back to what I wrote, and this was up on The Athletic yesterday or 2 days ago. No, yesterday. Today's Saturday. Yeah, this was a September 9th story. Why Steve Young thinks Trey Lance has the ingredients to be a successful 49ers quarterback. One of the stories that I wrote about that Steve Young experienced throughout his career, and I think really applies to Trey Lance, so I included it as a featured anecdote in this larger article. It turns out that yesterday, Goat Fuel, Jerry Rice's energy drink company, released the video of Steve Young showing up in his minivan, which I wrote about in this article, to the 49ers facility. And it turns out that Steve Young on that day shared the Steve Covey story that I put in this article with Trey Lance. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. We talk about serendipitous occurrences. This was as serendipitous as it gets. So the video dropped yesterday. Goat Fuel emailed it to me. I put it up on the internet. Everybody grabbed it, put it up on the internet as their own after that too, which was funny. But this is it. This is the video. Let's watch Steve Young visiting the 49ers facility and telling the story to Trey Lance.
You gotta give me that snap route, Steve. Come on.
All right. It'll hopefully go better for you. It was rough for me. And when it was rough, you end up kind of in a dark place. You just feel like it's all piling on you. And so I was on a plane, and I got next to a guy, you don't know this name, but Steve Covey used to write books, self-help books. And I happened to run into him on the plane. He's like, hey, tell me how it's going. I was like, oh, it's terrible. I unloaded on him. I told him all the things that were hard and terrible about it and how it wasn't fair. And he goes, let me ask you a couple questions. Hey, he goes, and then is Joe on the team? And I go, yeah, he's on the team. That's kind of part of the problem, right? and he says, but if you had to go ask him a question for mentorship, like, hey, what would you do? Could you ask him the question? I go, yeah, I could. He goes, Steve, I travel the world looking for places where human beings are that give those human beings a chance to iterate and see how good they can get. And those qualities that of the best ones I try to put in my book. That's what I do. And I travel the world, and I gotta be honest with you, listening to your situation, what you have, I'm not sure that you don't have the best opportunity that I've ever seen to see how good you can get. And remember, I came into the conversation into the ground, right? And I suddenly realized I have seen this wrong. And it changed from that moment on. My life, it changed how I saw the world. It's hard to just bring me up, but.
Amazing, amazingly powerful. I mean, that was the story when I learned that story years ago from Steve. But when I saw that the 49ers had re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo, the first thing I say, right, I get on Twitter, I get on YouTube, I write on The Athletic. I say, the 49ers are trying to build depth at the quarterback position. And this is something they wouldn't do unless they really believed in Trey Lance, unless they believed that he had a true glass half full outlook, that he was somebody that was willing to take ownership and not take victimization. Not be like a lot of social media, those people that just kick and scream about everything that the 49ers do and be like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible for Trey Lance, drama, all this, drama, all that. He's going to be looking over his shoulder. No, it's an opportunity for Trey Lance to ask questions of somebody who's been in the offense for a few years. And Steve Young, early in his career, looked at himself as a victim. And then he realized when he sat next to Steve Covey on that plane that you're not a victim here. You can look at this in a different way. You could look at this as an opportunity for mentorship. Ask Joe Montana questions. And of course, his career took off. From that point, the 49ers were 4-4 at the time that happened. Steve Young told that story. They're 4-4, 1991, Steve's first season starting. Wasn't going well, right? Everybody was at 4-4. People aren't happy with the 49ers. They've got a very particular fan base. They went on a tear to close the 1991 season. And then in 1992, Steve Young won his first NFL MVP award. So that began the stretch, right? I mean, and that wasn't it for Steve Young, and I wrote about it in the piece. Why don't we put it back up here? That is this one right here. Check it out. Go to the comment section. I'm putting the link there one more time. This is well worth the subscription to The Athletic. I mean, even after the Steve Covey chat for Steve Young, it wasn't smooth sailing. In 92, he was MVP, but they lost the NFC Championship game. And Steve has a story of where this was a candlestick. They lost to the Cowboys. He said that like 2 or 3 hours after the final gun, Steve walked back out onto the field. It was kind of a damp, rainy day at Candlestick. The turf was in terrible condition. And Joe Montana was still on the team, but Joe Montana didn't play, and the 49ers lost the NFC title. There was a probably drunk, lone fan at the very top of Candlestick, upper deck, who 2 or 3 hours after the game was still yelling, "Put Joe in! There's still time! Put Joe in! There's still time!" He's just yelling into the clouds over and over. And that gave you an idea of the burden that Steve Young faced, right? Joe Montana was still on the football team as a reminder to everybody of the 49ers' recent success whenever something didn't go right. And in a way, Garoppolo being on the team, is a reminder of a lot of the 49ers' recent success that I think social media, the media, everybody will kind of talk about when things don't go right. But if you have the right mentality, and this is what Steve Young tells us, you don't use or succumb to those negatives. You use and utilize the positives, the mentorship opportunity. And, I've said this throughout the whole time. The 49ers would be absolutely asinine they'd be out of their minds to try to undermine their investment in Trey Lance, because there's a good chance that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's jobs will ultimately depend on Trey Lance's development. So to do something that might undermine him would be crazy, right? Would be completely, completely crazy. So I think that their move to strengthen the quarterback room with Jimmy Garoppolo coming back in this 2022 season is an illustration of their belief in Trey Lance and their belief in his ability to leverage a strong quarterback room as a positive, just like Steve Young leveraged a strong quarterback room with him and Joe Montana as a positive. So I think that's really, really worth checking out. All right, back to game keys here. Obviously, Trey Lance is a game key for the 49ers, and we're all sitting on pins and needles waiting to see how he's going to do for the 49ers to start his career. And, we talked about it for a year plus now at this point. Jimmy's going to be back in Chicago, where he grew up in Arlington Heights, where the Bears are actually trying to build a stadium out in the suburbs. It's like the Santa Clara of that area, because now they're probably going to have the Bears playing there. But we won't see Jimmy unless Trey gets hurt tomorrow. Right. So it's one of those things where this is on Trey now. He enters as QB1 in the NFL for the first time. And it's going to be important that the 49ers support him on a team-wide basis. And one way to support him is going to be to stop the Bears' run game. Because under new offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, now remember, the Bears have a totally new staff. Like, if you go to here, where I wrote about this game, and I have a chart. This is the Bears. This is the Bears DVOA profile from last year. Red is bad. Blue is good. The Bears had a lot of bad last year. They're ranked number 24 overall. The entire offense, as I was telling you earlier, was bad, 26, 26, 23. The defense was okay, 13 overall, 12 pass defense, but the run defense was bad. So I think the 49ers, if that perpetuates itself, they'll be able to run a little bit. And the special teams was good, but now, Richard Hightower is their coordinator, and he wasn't very good, especially last season for the 49ers. Anyway, you look at this profile, and then you realize, oh, wait, the Bears have a whole new coaching staff, right? They cleaned house. Matt Nagy's not there anymore. It's Matt Eberflus now, and the offensive coordinator is Luke Getsy. Now, Eberflus was the defensive coordinator of the Colts. The Colts gave the 49ers offense some trouble last year in the rain. It was a really wet game. Might be raining in Chicago tomorrow as well. So the 49ers are going to have to solve that. But as far as the other side of the ball goes, when you look at what the Bears are going to try to do offensively, well, they were bad last year. They're going to try to clean house. They're going to try to change the way they do things. One thing they're going to do is they're going to try to pound the football. How do we know this? Because of the personnel. Luke Getsy likes to run the football, but he's been with the Packers before. That was a Matt LaFleur offense. But they have two fullbacks. Two fullbacks tells you everything you need to know about the goals of this offense. Two fullbacks, sketchy pass protection for the Bears, right? If that sounds familiar, it's because, that's the 49ers formula. The pass protection isn't as great as the run blocking. And I think, the 49ers' success playing downhill with the run game under Shanahan with adaptable blocking type pieces against downsizing defenses in the NFL, that there's been success via that formula for the 49ers. And because there has been success, you're seeing other teams in the league try it. So now the 49ers might get a taste of their own medicine from the Bears. They're going to try to pound the rock, not only behind David Montgomery, their running back, and their fullbacks, but with Justin Fields. We're talking about the 49ers pounding the rock with their 4 running backs and their 4 tight ends. By the way, Kittle is questionable. I don't expect that he would play. So, either way, the 49ers have a blocking apparatus. The Bears are trying to establish a blocking apparatus. So the test is going to be, how well do the 49ers stop the run? They didn't stop the run throughout about a half of last season, right? They struggled throughout about a half of last season. Then they moved Eric Armstead inside against Chicago. That's when this started. They realized, hey, Javon Kinlaw's hurt. We need more of an interior presence. We're going to slide Armstead inside, and we're going to see what happens. And Armstead combined with DJ Jones got the job done. 49ers vaulted to the number 1 run defense in football. That changed everything because they got into more pass rushing situations by stopping the run in early downs. And we saw what happened. They went all the way to the NFC Championship game. Now, ironically, or perhaps fittingly, The 49ers lost the NFC title game because they couldn't stop the run in the first half. The Rams ran for 4.5 yards per carry in the first half. 49ers stopped them in the second half, but because the Rams ran so successfully in the first half, the 49ers were at a big play count deficit in the second half, and they ran out of gas. I mean, the 49ers played 20 games last year, 12 road games, NFL record, 12 road games. They ran out of gas down the stretch, period. And a lot of that could be traced back to the fact they couldn't stop the run in the first half. So they're going to have to do that against the Bears. They're going to have to find a way without DJ Jones now, with Javon Kinlaw instead, and Eric Armstead still there. They're going to have to find a way to mix and match those defensive linemen to stop the run. That is the weakness of the wide nine if you don't have the right personnel, right, is the run right up the middle. And the 49ers are going to have to find a way to stop it because that is how they're going to capitalize on this. They have that advantage, pass rushing, but they have to earn the pass rushing opportunities. So for me, that's the big key in this game that we have to keep an eye out for. Anyway, my prediction, 49ers 23, Bears 16. I do think the 49ers significantly enough, are able to stop that run. I don't think they're going to be perfect. I think that losing Jimmy Ward, he's going to be out here for a while. They're going to have to get used to this for a while. I think that no Jimmy Ward does hurt the defense on the back end, but I think ultimately their advantage over the Bears on the D-line against Chicago's O-line, I think ultimately that is what is key to remember here. And if they just stop the run or slow it enough, that advantage is going to peek through enough times for them to take advantage of the fact that the Bears just aren't great up front in pass protection. Now, on the other side of the football, we talk about Trey Lance. Can you erase Steve Young's name off of that? Trey's going to have to take care of the football. I think 3 and outs are okay. It's self-detonating plays, right, that are not okay. Turnovers far inside your own territory, fumbles, all that, all the usual stuff isn't okay. But if the 49ers get decent special teams, which I do expect in the Richard Hightower revenge game, he's the coordinator for the Bears. Still can't believe that, how that works out. If the 49ers get decent special teams and they adequately slow the run, I think their pass rush is going to cause Justin Fields enough trouble to where they'll give Trey Lance enough runway to not have to be perfect. He just has to maintain serve. Maintain serve in this game. The 49ers roster is significantly better than Chicago's. That's why I say 23-16, 49ers over the Bears and some potential rain at Soldier Field. All right, so that's it. Why don't you guys check out the predictions and the 10 observations. Cool little nugget I have in there from Samuel Womack, who grew up in Detroit. He's going to have about 20 family members driving from Detroit to Chicago, including his dad, Samuel Womack Jr., Samuel Womack III for the 49ers. Samuel Womack Jr., who was Sam's first coach. So much one-on-one work they did, he told me, over their years with this in mind. NFL debut, make it to the league, and he did. So that's going to be cool for the rookie. Back to the comments section. You guys can go ahead and check out the piece. There you go. And I'm going to answer a couple questions, and then I've got to get going. So why don't I straighten up here, and why don't we take a look at what you guys are asking? Any questions about 49ers and the Bears? If the 49ers score 49 points, the league will be on notice. That's 49 Lakers prediction. Yeah, if they go 49 tomorrow, it's the Bears defense has got some players, right? This is not a completely inept Bears team, and they have a new coaching staff. So, there's always something weird that happens in week one. Last year was the Saints just taking the Packers to the woodshed. And it could be, there could be weird stuff that happens at Soldier Field. Don't discount that in this game. Yeah, the thumbnails have been looking top-notch recently. Good job to Mike. Congratulations to him. Oh, Mike is fishing here. Mike is fishing for compliments. I love it. Mike is doing a good job, though. Love the thumbnails. All right, let's see some of the questions. Mike asks one. Do we expect Kyle to struggle to figure out how to use Lance play calling? No, I think the best way to use Lance right now is to have a robust run game and then, take your assorted pick of big shots down the field. You do have to develop him for the shorter game, and that was a big part of my Steve Young piece. You have to develop the timing, the layering, Steve Young said the 10-speed bike was Steve Young's analogy. You can't only have one speed. You've got to have 10 speeds to throwing the ball short and intermediate. So Trey needs a lot of work on the intermediate game and the short game. And I think that you try to factor in some of that need for work with the strong suit of the offense right now. It's going to be running the football and taking some calculated shots down the field. There may have to be some backyard style football if Robert Quinn breaks loose. So you just let Trey play and settle into his own rhythm. I don't think Kyle's going to struggle with that. How McGlinchey performs tomorrow is going to be really important for the 49ers season. That's a big one to watch. Good call right there. How many deep throws do I expect? I don't know. I mean, they don't have this charted out entering the game. It's going to be dependent on the Bears defense. You know, these are just questions. I don't want to just give you an answer because it would just be me sitting here guessing, and the random guy on the street could be sitting here and guessing. We're going to have to see how it looks from the Bears' perspective. I would say under 225 passing yards for Lance tomorrow, just because it might be raining, and I think the 49ers will be emphasizing pounding the football, but could be wrong. If you're asking me for gambling advice, probably good to put the disclaimer here that it's just as unpredictable for me as it is for, the standard gambler in this situation entering week one. I mean, Kyle made a big point about how, the coaching staff is frustrated right now because they don't know what the Bears are going to bring to the table. Yes, Dre Greenlaw's playing. Elbow's healed. He is ready to go off of the injury report. Yeah, the 49ers might need more blocking without Kittle. I see another question there. All right, guys, my phone is ringing, so I'm going to have to get going here. Let me hit the decline. You guys probably heard that. It was a little bit loud. I got to roll, though. That's it for all the questions. 49ers 23, Bears 16. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to The Athletic. Do all that good stuff, and we will talk to you soon. Everybody enjoy the game, and everybody stay plugged in for all the coverage. Take care.